Hi, this is Lauren with Craft Some Joy. And if you like scrapbooking and organizing, well, you are definitely in the right place. Today, I have a layout where I'm going to share how to mix and match collections. And I do have quite a few photos tucked away in my little photo folder. And I've also developed a sketch, and I'll talk a little bit more about that template in just a minute. Today's layout, I'm going to use a couple collections that are new from Creative Memories. These are the Great Lakes Scenes collection and the Florida Scenes collection. These are beautiful. For one, they coordinate well with each other, but they also coordinate with the previous collection called Serene Waters from Creative Memories, which I also love. So stay tuned. I'll probably be pulling in a few items from that collection as well. So I'm just going to select a few of the patterns and textures from both of these different collections that catch my eye. And really, these are stunning papers. I want to pull in my template that I mentioned before and just take another look at how I want to lay out these two pages. So, just a little bit more about the sketch template. It seemed like out of necessity, I was always grabbing for scratch paper or cardstock to get my ideas down on paper on how I wanted to create layouts. So, I decided to finally take the time to create a template. And after using it for a little bit, I have to say I love it. I have a grid format on the top two squares, so it makes laying out your pages really easy. And if you are interested in grabbing your download for this template, head on over to my website at craftsomejoy.com and click on the navigation that says Shop Exclusive Downloads. So, following my sketch, I am grabbing the first layer of paper, which is this gorgeous orange map paper. And I had sketched out that that needed to be a 12 by 4-inch strip. So I've cut two of those, and now I'm moving on to this really fun shell stamp paper. And I'm cutting two strips of these at 3 inches by 12, but then I do need to trim these down a couple inches. So I'm just going to grab both of those and trim them at the same time and just kind of snip off with my trimmer 2 inches off the end. And that creates this really fun header feature that I had sketched out on my layouts. So next I'm going to move on to this fun wave paper, but you can see there definitely are some icons of the Great Lakes on here. And since I don't want those in my layout, I am realizing that I need to trim off those icons. So I thought this was going to be an 8-inch strip, but it turns out it's going to be just slightly smaller. So I'm going to need to figure out what to do with my layout to create the extra half inch that I had to trim down. So I decided to just grab one of those pieces and flip it over, and it has some really fun fish paper on the back. So I'm just going to trim a couple little thin strips that will make up the difference so that all my measurements work out once again for this layout. So now it's time to build these base pages, and I've pulled in my two cutting mats, which I love to create on since they do have all the correct measurements for my 12 by 12 pages. And as you can see, I'm taking those strips that I've cut, adding the little thin strip to make up the difference in those, and then adding the shell paper to the top portion. The way that's looking so far. So now I just need to create the same base page for the right hand side. So as I mentioned, I have a lot of photos for these two pages. So I decided to pull in some 6 by 12 peekaboo pockets to help me create a space for all of my photos. I really love the pattern and texture of all of these papers. So it was really important to find a way that I could use all of my photos because I love putting a lot of photos on my layouts, but also enjoy the pattern and texture of these different collections. So I decided to go ahead and use this kind of wispy blue paper, and that's going to be the background for my 6 by 12 peekaboo pockets. So I wanted to get those photos out and just start putting them on the 6 by 12 pockets, kind of in the areas that I think they'll go. Like I said, I have a lot of photos. These do need to get trimmed down, and so I decided that in order to make everything pop, I'm also going to pull in some cardstock. And the tangerine cardstock is perfect for this layout. I'm going to take and just create a very small border for these photos with that tangerine cardstock. Now, just a quick tip on creating multiple mats at once is to go ahead and place the photos that you need together on the cardstock and then just trim them down with one go. I have all of my photos trimmed down and backed with that awesome tangerine cardstock. They really pop. And so now it's time to add in a little fun. One of the things I wanted to do was use the new Starfish Border Maker cartridge. I knew that was going to be perfect for this layout. But I also love texture and color when I'm using my punches. So I decided to use this wispy painted sunset piece of paper to actually punch my starfish. And the results are perfect, exactly what I wanted. A gradation in color as I was punching through to the different areas of the paper, and it gave just a beautiful look to this border cartridge. You cannot even tell that that used to be a sunset. Instead, it's just beautiful colors of paper that I'm using to punch this border cartridge. After I punched the second strip of starfish, it's time to get these set into place. I'm using my repositionable adhesive along with my silicone mat, and it creates a perfect background to get all of these little pieces into place. Makes it so easy when you're using repositionable adhesive because you can lift and relift and get those pieces exactly where you want them. And I love it. I love the Starfish Border Maker cartridge. It's the perfect accompaniment to these strips for my peekaboo pockets. So now that I'm happy with the front side of the 6x12 peekaboo pockets, it's time to start working on the flip side. And once I turn these over, I realize that the paper is directional and it also has a bunch of words about Florida, which is not where we were. So I'm going to just pull out some of the photos that I want to include on the back side, but I will need to trim these down and also create a background for these photos. So once I have them in place and trimmed down, Chia takes a good look at them, thinks they look pretty good. And I'm going to pull in some aqua cardstock to create the background and cover up the words on the orange paper. So you can see Chia is definitely still here to help out and just make sure that I'm getting all of my dimensions correct. So this paper, as I mentioned, I'm going to cut just in half at 6 inches, and those are going to create the backgrounds for the backside of my 6x12 peekaboo pockets. I'm going to adhere the top layer to the cardstock just to go ahead and get that in place. I did need to trim down a little of the extra paper with my scissors that was showing through from the front side. Now, I love that the Serene Waters collection also blends beautifully with these two new collections. So I am going to pick out some papers that I want to create some more layers with. And I love this orange wavy paper, especially for the backside when we were sitting around the campfire once the sun went down. I think that's going to be a great next layer for my photos. So once I have my photos in place on this wavy orange stripe paper, I'm going to adhere this to the aqua cardstock. I love the way these layers are coming together and creating a lot of dimension and play with all three of these different collections. Once I have my photos in place, I decided to pull in some stickers from the Florida sticker strip. And this is one of the things I like to do with transitions. When I have two papers that are sitting next to each other, sometimes I'll just take a sticker or a border maker strip and kind of weld those two pieces together so that it has kind of an interesting transition from one paper to the next. I like that, so I'm going to continue it on the second side. And I also love how this sticker mimics the paper that I chose for the flip side of these peekaboo pockets. Just works out perfectly. I had made a note on my sketch template that I wanted to use the campfire punch on this layout. I thought, what a perfect opportunity since we had a fire in the fire pit by the beach. So I pulled in some paper from the Serene Waters collection and I went ahead and punched the campfire punch. And I noticed that on one side was the orange kind of flame looking paper, and then on the other side was a deep green. And I thought that would be perfect to use one side for the flames and the other side for the logs. In order to create a little dimension for this campfire punch without a lot of bulk, I am going to punch it again out of some cardstock and then just adhere these layers together. I love this technique to give a little substance to the punches, but it's not quite as bulky as using foam squares. Well, if you've been watching me for a while, you know I love a home for my embellishments. So I am digging into my box of layering shapes and finding the perfect shape for this little punch out that I've created. And if you'd like to grab some of your own layering shapes, you can just move on over to my website at craftsomejoy.com and take a look in the Scrap Some Joy shop under exclusives. These are only available on my website. Now, with that in place, I want to move on and add some more embellishments to the layout. So I've got yet another layering shape that I want to add to the top of the right-hand page. And I'm looking for some stickers from the Florida collection. I love these starfish. I think that's a perfect cluster, but I do also think that that needs a little bit of dimension. So I'm just going to add a few strips of foam tape to those starfish. And that gives me an opportunity to grab some of these other shell stickers and layer those in different places around the cluster and on this layering shape. Now, another thing that is important to me when I am working on clustering embellishments together is color. And so you can see I tried the orange shell, but to me it kind of just lost itself in this cluster. So I really prefer the blue shell. And so that looks good. I'm going to keep that as an area in my top layout. Now, because I didn't see a whole lot of separation between this white layering shape, I decided to just grab my orange dot tip pen and go around the outside of my white layering shape and just add a little color. This gives a good separation when I place it back down on the page and just gives a little pop to that area. Since I have my stickers out, I just want to check some other places on the layout to see if I can add some more embellishments and stickers. So I love this little friends sticker that I found, and it works perfectly since we were all sitting around the campfire with our friends. And then I also found another sticker that is perfect for the opposite side, which says family. But it's really hard for me to leave that just floating by itself. So I took another shell sticker and layered that behind the word, and then that works perfectly. Since I now have both sides of the 6x12 section of my layout finished, I'm going to go ahead and tuck these into the peekaboo pockets. And so I can just kind of see how those look in place. Now I have to move to underneath my layout, which I have yet some more area to add photos and of course a journaling box. So I'm going to bring in my favorite dot grid journaling square from my stash and then take a look at how I want the undersection to come together. That will be when my peekaboo pockets are flipped up, what you will see. So I love just adding a few of these extra photos and a big place for my journaling, but I do feel like I need another layer. So I went back to my Serene Waters stash and found this wave paper that has just a really subtle texture on it. I love it. I think it's going to be perfect for using to mat my photos and journaling cards for the underside of the peekaboo pockets. So I'm getting those into place, cut down and into place. And I'm going to go ahead and adhere those in and then just work on some finishing touches. So I'm back again to my Serene Waters sticker sheet, which has some more of these great quotes on it. I'm going to use this one that says taking it all in. And once again, I'm going to bring in my box of layering shapes to try to find the perfect home for this little sticker. For consistency, I have found yet another circle, and I do like to repeat not only color and patterns, but also shapes in different places of my layout. So I like that. I've got it saying taking it all in and another cute little shell sticker. Now, when I look at a journaling box, sometimes that looks big and scary, the whole blank canvas there. So, one of the ways I add more interest is to use a sticker, maybe alongside yet another layering shape. And that gives kind of a break in the journaling box and a little bit of interest as well. So I'm going to just put that in place. I took a sticker from the Serene Waters sticker collection and then just added that onto a layering shape. Now I have some more color and kind of breaks up that area where I need to journal. Now, I'm just going to add in the story about this day. And when the kids were little, one of the things we would do is every Friday get together with what we called our Friday Friends play group. And these folks became our dear friends, and our kids became close and spent so much time together. So, one of the traditions we decided to start was to celebrate the dads at the beach. So this was a Father's Day beach day where we could get together, have the kids get together and play and just enjoy our time together and celebrate our dads since it was Father's Day. Once I have my journaling finished, it's just again a few finishing touches. Going back to my stickers and finding a few fun shells to put in the bottom corner, and then I rediscover the Serene Water epoxy stickers. And oh, aren't these so much fun? I decide to add a few stars to the cluster here and then decide that the rest of my layout needs a few epoxy stickers as well. I gotta say, I do love those little epoxy or enamel stickers, whichever you want to call them. And they just add a pop of color and a little subtle dimension to your layout. Okay, so now that I'm getting everything tidied back up into my Power Project folder, it's time to just put those last finishing touches on my layout. I knew I wanted a special title for these two pages, and I was debating whether to use the Cricut or to go to my dies. And so, after taking a look at the layout, I wanted to pull in that same paper that I used underneath my peekaboo pockets into the title. So, I went to my dies, found some great fonts, and you can see I was able to use that paper that still had the Great Lakes printed on it, but I just went right around it and used my dies in the other areas. So I was able to cut the words beach day, and then I took the same paper that I used under the peekaboo pockets, that rich orange wave paper, and I found a different font and cut out the words Father's Day. So now all that's left is just to get these stuck into place. So I'm using my Creative Memories Precision Point pen, and I'm going to just use a little strip of glue to get right in the center of these die cut shapes. Whenever I am working with small shapes or letters like this, I love using the reversible tweezers. They can grab those shapes so easily, and it's just like having an extra pair of hands to get those perfectly in place. Now, I wish these were part of our core product line, but unfortunately, they are currently just for advisors only. So I do have them available in my Scrap Some Joy shop on my website. Do love this tool. Okay, so I'm getting day in place, and then I'm just going to move on and glue down beach as well and pull in my ruler to finish off the word beach. This is just an easy way to line up the bottom of all my letters, just holding the ruler in place and then lining up the bottom of those letters. Make sure I have everything just where I need it to be. So, to finish up the title where it says Father's Day, I decided to pull in another layer and grabbed a layering shape that I could tuck in. And also, I can now include some more stickers and embellishments if I want to for this area. So, I'm just going to get that into place and then add my layers of letters back in. And then I'm going back to my sticker sheet, and the palm trees caught my eye. Those are perfect. Kind of a grounding yet organic shape to put next to the title for my page. So the only thing that's left is to add a few more little stickers to kind of finish off that cluster. I went back to the Serene Waters collection and found this really perfect little wave embellishment. I added one last shell sticker, and now since this page is finished, I am slipping it into the 12 by 12 pocket page. And this gives me a chance to add in my 6 by 12 peekaboo pockets. I love the way this layout looks cohesive, yet I have so much room to add all my photos and story for this day. If you've enjoyed learning how to mix and match different collections together all in one layout, you can show your support by hitting that thumbs up button. And if you'd like to watch some more videos, you can check these out. There's always more things to learn right here on my channel. And if you'd like to get notified of when I release new videos, be sure to subscribe and ring the bell. As always, until next time, I hope you take time to craft some joy.